everybody. How are you doing? Roll call, roll call, roll call. Sound off in the comments. Sound off in the live chat if you are here, if you are present. All right, I want to know that you're here, that we are live. So, we got 157 people watching. You already know what to do with the like button. All right, throw a couple of chanclas, throw a couple of shahatas, slippers at it, drone strike it. Do what you got to do. Got a special guest coming on in just a second. So let me get that set up for you guys. Again, very important stuff. It's good to see you. It's good to be back, right? It's been a few days. Feels like eons, though. It always is. We're also live on Rockfin. So shout out to everybody who's watching over there. We need to diversify, as you all know why, but we'll get into detail. We had a new round of censorship again. I think the more appropriate term is fascist book burning, because it's really accurate. So let me tend to our special guest. You'll give me just a second to set this up, right? Okay, I need to turn off the music in the background. There we go. There we go. So, all right. I'm just gonna wait for them to show up in the lobby. Give me a second over here. All right. Wonderful. Wonderful to have by. Splendid, yes. Yes, we'll get to the Queen as well. We will get to the Queen. Oh, yes. So, you'll forgive me just as we get things going. There we go. Wonderful. Okay. I hope you guys can see the split screen. Glory, can you hear me? Is everything okay? How are you doing? Yes, wonderful. You'll give me a second to get this set up. So I think people should be able to see you right now. Wonderful. Okay, so let me introduce you formally. That was just a test. Okay, so we are live right now, of course, baby. You know how we do it, Bill O'Reilly style. Just fuck it, we'll do it live. Exactly. So joining me is Glory Jones. She is an activist for Assange. It's such a pleasure to actually speak with you for the first time, I think, right? And to have you on the show as well. Yes, it's great to have you on. So people can see you now. You might see yourself in mirrored back, but it's just so people can see you on the live. So how are you doing, Glory? And what can you tell us about the green screen behind you, as a matter of fact, about this protest that's coming up on March 17th? Because this is a really big topic. This is very important, and I want to plug this as much as possible so people can find out what's going on. So plug away and please inform people what they can do and how they can participate.
Basically promoting the events taking place in Washington, D.C., March 17th for March 18th. Basically, March 17th, which is St. Patrick's Day, is going to be an international day of action in solidarity for Julian Assange. We are hijacking a holiday because pretty much about a year ago, a member of the anonymous community came out with the clover as a symbol for Assange supporters to really recognize each other online so you didn't feel so alone, because this came at a point of like a real lull in the case. And not to mention me personally, and a lot of people as well think that Julian could just use some good luck, really. Yeah. So the clover really took off, and tons of people added it to their bios online, all throughout social media. So basically, and this continued to this day with the Clovers for Assange trend. So kind of in taking that into the real world, to the fourth dimension, really, we want to bring out a Clovers for Assange themed event. And obviously the best day to do that would be St. Patrick's Day. And it's not just DC doing that. There are actions going on all over the world. There's going to be one in Mexico City. There's going to be one in Amsterdam. Beautiful. There's going to be ones in Germany, New Zealand. Can't say too much about London right now, just because the protest laws there right now are pretty draconian, but yeah. they'll be doing something. The London team is so awesome. They'll be fighting somehow. I just know it.
But you guys
I think there'll also be something in Australia, Boston too. That's another one.
You guys are all awesome, and I love all the work that you're doing. And you know, it's so awesome seeing that it's an international movement. You know, that people all over the world are getting what's going on and understanding the gravity of it, right? So you know, it's really great seeing you guys also coordinate to do it on the same day. So I mean, if people want to find out where they can you know, participate, for example, if they're in the US, you know, or if they're near DC, you know, where can they get more info to join that? Or if they're in Australia, for example, where can they get more info to join that? And like how long and what do you have planned for the day?
Got you. So if you're anywhere in the world, then there's an ultimate master thread going on right now, organized by @Candles for Assange on Twitter. Our good friend Alex Hills has put together just a massive Twitter thread of every action taking place all over the world. So I recommend going to @Candles for Assange on Twitter to look for her, see where the actions are around the world. And then in terms of US actions, if you go to action_4 Assange on Twitter, then you can find out all about the actions in the US. You can find out all about the action in DC, which is kind of going to be our really big one. And then basically the way the one in DC is going to go. So on the 17th, we're meeting at noon outside of Fox News in Washington, DC. And we'll be marching up the offices to CNN. So,
Awesome.
And then once we get, so it's going to be wonderful. Once we get to CNN, that's when we're going to meet up with our second protest, which is organized by our good friends and fam over at the Combo Couch, Fiorella Isabel, Jonathan Majorca, and Craig Jardula, or Pasta. But yeah, white guy that says he needs dick in the morning. Yeah, that Pasta. But yeah, we're gonna meet up with them, and then beginning at CNN, we're gonna march up to NPR, and then we're gonna end at Google, and that's gonna encompass the Fuck Censorship event, which also takes place on the 17th, right after the Assange event, starting at 2 p.m. And then for the second day, we're gonna meet at the Department of Justice. That's March 18th at the Department of Justice at noon, and we're just going to have some speakers and raise hell. And
Beautiful.
Really, this situation that we're in now is so absurd. Like, they're keeping Julian in prison for no reason other than the fact that they want him to quietly die. And he's in there for no reason, despite the fact that in the extradition order itself, British Judge Vanessa Baratzer ordered him to be discharged from Belmarsh prison. So it's such a draconian situation. It's so absurd that in our response, we need to kind of bring out equal, if not more, levels of absurdity. So that's what we're trying to do with these events, is really get loud. And also it's going to be a stepping stone for recruitment, because April 11th will be the 2-year anniversary of Julian Assange being dragged out of the Ecuadorian embassy after the 4.2 billion IMF loan to Lenin Moreno in Ecuador. So we also need to be able to recruit for that as well, and really have enough time to get massive events going for the April 11th 2-year anniversary of Julian Assange being dragged out and put into solitary confinement in Belmarsh, where he's currently freezing, where they literally have his warm clothes in storage right now and refuse to give it to him. There's been a mass emailing campaign done by activists to try and call and email Belmarsh prison to ask, why doesn't Julian have his warm clothes? This constitutes literal torture. And all they sent us back is the same bullshit politician answer every time about like, oh, you must have the wrong prisoner. Oh, no,
What?
there's been a holdup. It's always the same bullshit answer. And I forget it because it reminds me so much of like those politician emails that you get when you try to call your rep to ask them to speak about Julian Assange, but they don't because they're fucking cowards. So,
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm just putting up on the screen the flyers for the event. So Fee sent me this, the fuck censorship protest. I love the name. It doesn't get more straightforward than that. And basically, you guys are organizing this on the same day as the Clovers for Assange protest, right? So you're kind of having sort of a coalition going on, right? And it's all related.
Well, because basically the origin of the fuck censorship protest is Convo Couch, along with a wave of other independent media channels like MCSC, Hard Lens Media, Ford Fisher, now Vanessa Beeley, T-Lab gets censored every day of the week, Ryan Christian, and now Whitney Webb being removed off Patreon along with The Last American Vagabond.
Right.
There's been a wave of censorship that's just been hammering independent media. So in response to that, Convo Couch is organizing the fuck censorship protest to try and get together people to stand against that and stand against the wave of incoming censorship that's going to come with the Joe Biden administration, because they've made it plenty clear via these campaigns to control misinformation that they want control of the official narrative, and they are going to make independent media their target, and this is going to be the era of gatekeeping.
Yeah, absolutely. And everything you just listed, it's I mean, you really have to be naive or purposely lying to pretend like there isn't some kind of crackdown going on, because it's really happening all at once, and people thought, oh, they're good. This is just going to stop with Trump or with right wingers and stuff. No, it's not, and they're going after everyone, and it's frankly, I mean, Christ, you like. There's no wonder why I'm streaming on Rockford right now. We got to have backups. We can't, tolerate. It's no wonder that you guys are out on the streets doing this kind of direct action, putting in the work. And I'm so grateful to you. I'm so grateful for you guys. And I can't go to the U.S., but I'm with you in spirit. So that, and also I can't go to the UK right now either because of the lockdown. But I'm with you in spirit, and I appreciate it so much. And I really think that. How is the lockdown situation now in the U.S.? Like, for example, if someone's in California or they're in on the East Coast, wherever they are in the U.S., can they actually come to D.C. and participate? What is the situation like for people who are thinking about coming in? What would you say to encourage them if everything you've laid out is not enough?
Listen, well, if they don't want to come out to protest solely because of COVID, then I'll just say this myself. I'm on the ground very, very, very frequently, and I've come out of it all relatively unscathed. In fact, the most scathed I've gotten was from police. So that's what I'll say, just bringing my own experiences into it to try and encourage people to come out, even if they're scared with COVID. But I mean, even if you can't, like if you really, really can't, then that's okay too, I guess. Just please promo the events and help tell your friends and neighbors about them. And lockdowns vary by state, really, like because my home is Florida, but I go to school in California, and there's a vast difference between those two states. Right. Florida is pretty much open now, but California, where we have beloved governor Gavin McFuckass, he is choking small businesses, and in part because of that, the petition to recall him has reached 2 million signatures now, because it's absolutely insane what they expect people to put up with, what they expect small businesses to put up with. Like, people are suffering because of the lockdowns. Cops have already been violating the eviction moratorium that was placed. They were dragging people out of their homes, families out of their homes over Thanksgiving and over Christmas. And the homeless population has just exploded because of the pandemic.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that, because I remember Elon Musk just like, keeping his Tesla factories open, and it's like, again, there's two justice systems, there's two tiers of lockdowns, based on how much your net worth is. Interesting, right? So, Gloria, I mean, thank you so much for your work, and Steve and everyone, and Convo Couch and everyone who's putting in this work, and getting out there on the street and protesting. And where can people go to find more info? What's the URL? What's the Twitter? Where can they engage with the protest online and spread the word and find out more information?
Yes, to find more about kind of the master thread of events happening all around the world, go to at Candles for Assange on Twitter. That's where you'll find the whole thread with all the events. Or you can go to my Twitter, because I retweeted it. If you just search up Glory Jones, I'll come up with a hashtag Free Assange right next to it. There, Richie's got it up. Awesome. You can also go to Steve's Twitter, who's my co-host over at Slow News Day. That's at Slow News Day Show on Twitter. And for all stuff happening in the US, you can go to Action for Assange. That's action_4 Assange. And then for all information related to the fuck censorship protest, you can go to our wonderful fam at the Convo Couch on Twitter. And that's where you can pretty much go. I'll give a shout out to the anonymous community as well, because they've been a huge help with kind of breaking through all Twitter censorship and trying to spread word of this event online. If you go to at your Mark Lubers on Twitter, he's tweeting about these events constantly and really spearheading the hashtag We Are All Assange and hashtag Globers for Assange Twitter storms we have going on. So yeah, those are all the people I can point to right now.
All right, I think I missed the last one.
And since I just joined MCSC Network, you can go to at MCSC Network on Twitter if you want to check them out.
Yes. Plug away, please, by all means, because I can't I can't stress enough the importance of indie media. So please. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, congrats also on the expansion of MCSC, and I'm wishing you guys all the best for all of your future reporting and all of your action on the ground and the protest. And you guys, will you be live streaming as well on that day so people can tune in? How can they follow it online as well?
Yeah, I have no doubt that Convo Couch themselves will be streaming it from their own channel. There'll be someone recording it and streaming it to Action for Assange's channel. If not someone, then me, because I'm pretty good with the camera when it comes to being on the ground. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm with you guys in spirit, and I'll be tuning in, and I'll be trying my best to follow, and I wish you guys all the best, and thanks so much for coming on the show on such short notice, and again, all the best.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
All right.
Thanks so much, Glory. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Isn't she awesome? That was amazing. That was really dope. So, huge shout out to Glory and everyone who's putting in that work and organizing these protests, because, we talk a lot about, I talk a lot about, I've stressed the importance of direct action. I think that, when you have a political system that's so corrupted, not just in the U.S., I mean, everywhere, right? This isn't new, man. This is hundreds of years people have if not thousands, hundreds of years people have realized that to get things done, well, you can't always, rely on electoral politics. You got to take to the streets. And especially for something, about Assange, for me, this is, I covered Assange's extradition hearing. And so, I mean, even if I hadn't, I think any person, whether they're a journalist or not, and whether they covered the case or not, would realize the gravity of what's happening, the implications it has. I mean, it's, again, I'm going to go on for hours because I got so mad about this and pissed off. So again, many reasons why I respect what they're doing. That's amazing. That's really awesome. So huge shout out to them. And again, I put up all these Twitter accounts you can go and follow: Candles for Assange, Convo Couch, Glory Jones, Action for Assange, and see what they're tweeting and follow them and keep up with the protests and what they're doing. So again, March 17th. And again, this is going to be a coordinated event. It's not just going to be in Washington, D.C. It's going to be all over the world. So if you can go, check it out and do think about it if you can go there safely, of course, right? So yeah. Let me just pull up we got a super chat over here. This is from Trey. Thank you so much, Trey. Says, love you, mate. Keep speaking truth. Thank you. As always, we will continue to do it. And we got a big program, a big agenda to go through today. So let's get to it. And that was a great way to start, right? I mean, you guys need to spread the word about this protest because it's in a week. It's about a week away now. So we're the 11th. It's on the 17th. So spread the word. And there you go. If you have not hit the like button yet, make sure you do because it helps with the algorithm. And if you're on Rockfin, thank you so much for watching on Rockfin. We also have a tip over there from Jackie. Says, love the work you're all doing. Thank you. I appreciate it very much. And again, shout out to the activists. What would we do without the activists? Just again to give you some context why the activists are so important. Glory mentioned, for example, Team Assange in the UK. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't have been able to cover the case. Think about this for a second. The court case was being streamed online, and they had basically kicked 40 plus NGOs and journalists and MEPs and observers on the first day of the trial off the platform. Right? They revoked their permission to view the court case, the extradition hearing online. Who knows? Who knows why? No one knows why. And so, basically the only way you could get in is through the public gallery. And again, they had it limited to 5 seats only. So, and no mask mandate, by the way. So that's weird. It's like they're limiting the number of seats because of COVID, but there's no mask mandate. How does that work? In any case, it's the activists who are lining up, and it's thanks to them I was able to get in. Right? They were coming in the early morning to line up to queue up and let not just me, but Rebecca, for example, from Reporters Without Borders, and some of my other colleagues from various other outlets, to actually get in and watch the trial and report on it. So we owe the activists a lot, and they put in real work. Like no one is paying them to go and queue up in the morning and let us in. Half the people doing it didn't even know who I was, but they understood that it's important for the word to get out. So we got to let journalists and observers in, and so really a huge debt of gratitude to their work. And this is not just of course for Team UK, but also everyone all over the world who's spreading the word about this case and the ramifications it carries with it. So that's really something I'm grateful for, and I respect them. I have huge admiration for them. So, speaking of censorship, since we're on the topic, just give me a second. I want to make sure this is working. So, yeah. So speaking of censorship, you want to know what happened to me? PayPal limited my account. Right? You want to know why? You want to know what the kicker is? Let me show you. So basically, PayPal and Venmo, by the way, which is owned by PayPal, they limited my account because someone said the word Syria, which is where I'm born, in one of the donations they made to me. Yeah. Take a look. So I get this message all of a sudden. This is last week, right? I get this message that your PayPal account is temporarily limited. And they said, as part of our security measures, we regularly screen activity in the PayPal system. During one of these screenings, we noticed an issue concerning a recent transaction. Oh. In connection with the issue, PayPal's compliance department, whatever that means, sounds like something in 1984, has reviewed your account and identified activity that we have a couple questions about. Okay, so they wanted me to provide the following information. They said I was sent a payment of $5, right? Oh my God, this must be, who knows what I'm doing with $5? I mean, I'm very grateful for any donation, but you'd think that someone had sent a stockpile of gold bars through their system. Here's what they said. The message said, "Gratitude, Richard. Disgusted beyond words with ongoing U.S. war crimes. Love to Syria," unquote. And then PayPal says, "Please provide the following information. An explanation of the reference to Syria." Which reference? The one in the Bible? What does that mean? Explain the reference to Syria. What does that mean? It just says love to Syria. You got a problem with someone saying love to Syria? It's self-explanatory. It doesn't need an explanation. What a weird thing to say. What an odd thing to say, right? And then they ask for the purpose of this payment, including a complete and detailed explanation of what it is intended to be paid for. A brief summary of your fundraising efforts, details on how the funds will get to the beneficiaries, and the names and websites of any charitable organizations for whom you are collecting, if applicable. I mean, this is outrageous, honestly. This is, frankly, it's outrageous. What you want me to say? What you want me to say? And this isn't the first time something like this happens. You know, in the past, what they've done is they've held a transaction for review. So one of you is very kind enough to actually, you know, say something like that, love to Syria, or just mention Syria because of my reporting or because I'm half Syrian. And they just take the donation aside. And I can't even read what it says. I don't even know what's in there. And then, you know, they release it usually after a few days or something. But here they're saying, oh, we've limited your PayPal account. Okay. So I reached out to PayPal on Twitter. I wrote them a message here. And I said, yo, can you explain what's wrong with saying love to Syria? You know, why I have to fill out a questionnaire? It's outrageous, right? It's outrageous. And then, you know, they get in touch with me and they say, basically on Twitter, they get in touch with me. They're like, oh, you should just go and answer their questions, you know, on the, did you answer the questions on the email? No, you're not understanding. Your questions are ludicrous. And by the way, I did explain to them, I told them very simply, you know, I think it's outrageous and racist what you're doing. I'm simply born in Syria. The message says love to Syria. That's it. What's the issue here? You have a problem with that? You have a problem with someone expressing love to Syria? What's wrong with you? Are you a sadist? And then Venmo did the exact same thing. Like, I can't make this up, man. Look, someone was very kind enough to say this exact same thing, love to Syria. And then they said the payment is in review by our compliance team. Oh my God. Just unbelievable. And then they canceled some of the donations. They sent back some of the donations that you guys were very kind enough to send to me. So they just said they're reversed. That's it. And they said underneath that we identified a risk that prevents us from completing this payment. A risk? A risk? What risk is there with that? What an absurd thing to say, honestly. What an absurd thing to say. And then, you know, Venmo also pulled the same crap because they're, of course, part of the same, you know, they're a subsidiary of PayPal. They're owned by PayPal. And so they pulled the same crap. And I mean, this is outrageous. It's just like on YouTube. You know, if I put Syria in the video title or in the tags, or I mention Syria, it'll be potentially completely demonetized or partially demonetized. And if you go and you watch videos from Jimmy Dore or, you know, Secular Talk, or pick any independent media you want, they always have to put Syria with like an accent on the Y or an I or an A, you know, something that they have to spell it differently, or with spaces in all caps to try and circumvent YouTube's censorship. Like, I think how outrageous that is. Like, I can't even put the name of the country where I was born, a country that is older than most countries on the face of this planet. Damascus, where the city where I was born, is thousands of years old. It's the oldest city on the planet. All right, where people are still living there. It's the oldest continuously inhabited city. Jesus was in Syria, man. Like, how outrageous of you! How dare you? Honestly, right? How dare you? What is that line again from Lawrence of Arabia where he says, you know, when you had street lighting? I'm butchering the quote, but you know, he's talking about how you had street lighting and in the streets of Cordoba in Spain, right? When London was still a village. How dare you? You know, I just want to ask you a question here. Just picture this for a second. Can you imagine if PayPal limited someone's account because someone sent them a donation with a note that read, "Love to Israel"? Could you imagine the fucking outrage? They wouldn't dare do it in the first place. You would never see that happen. That's not even a thing. That's like on the list of countries, of 190 plus countries, Israel is like the last one where you would see that happen, right? Because of the fucking outrage that would ensue. I mean, you know, if they did that, you would have everyone and their uncle accusing Elon Musk of anti-Semitism and racism and you know it, right? You know that would happen. They would be outraged. But somehow it's okay to do that to Syria. Weird, right? How weird that this is an acceptable thing. It's not even like anything nefarious. It's just, oh, you said the word Syria. Someone said love to Syria. Fuck you, we're limiting your PayPal account. What? How outrageous is that? How outrageous is that, honestly? That I even have to explain that, oh, you know, I'm just born there. Is that a problem? I have to explain that? Fuck you, honestly. That's just obscene. So, you know, I tell you guys to, because you remember, some of you pointed out to me that YouTube super chats, they take 30%. Google takes 30%. So we came up with the solution. Well, just send your super chats on PayPal and I'll read them out to you. Well, it turns out if you do that, you can't say the word Syria because I don't know, they're going to, shut down my PayPal account. I don't know what's going on. Not allowed, right? And I've heard reports that I've heard people tell me on Twitter and in their messages that if you say Palestine or Iran, they'll do the same thing to you, right? I don't know if they limited their accounts, but they definitely withhold the payments as well. One of you was very clever. I think I don't know if she wants me to say her name, but she was very smart. She sent me she sent me Syria, but written in Arabic. It went, their system didn't catch it. How weird that we have to do that, right? Like you can't say it as if it's like a dirty word or something. Like look how far they're trying to silence and erase the Syrian identity, and like look at this war. I mean, it's outrageous, honestly. The very word, you can't even say the name of a country. What the fuck? I mean, if that is not Orwellian to you, I don't know what is. You can't say the name of a country, one of the oldest countries on the face of this fucking planet, the cradle of civilization. How outrageous is that? You would never see that. They would never do that to anyone else, right? They would never do that. And so, there are people who tell me, oh, well, this is part of the sanctions. It's just PayPal, they're being careful. What, that makes it okay? Like, I don't accept that as a justification. I think that's bullshit. I think that's ridiculous. I don't tolerate that. I don't tolerate this logic. I think that's absurd. So, I frankly don't know what to tell you guys anymore. This crackdown that we're seeing now on independent media that we're seeing, I mean, it's not even like a media thing. Like I could be a plumber. I could be a teacher. I could be, working at McDonald's. I could be a professor. I don't know. And they would have still probably done that. Like, that's what's so fucked up. It's not even just something against media. I mean, maybe it is, but they're just saying, oh, the word Syria, we're going to lock your PayPal account. What the fuck? How do you reconcile that? I'm speechless. So I don't even know what to say to you guys. I'm very grateful for your help and your donations, and for this is frankly speaking, it is a form of censorship in the end, because if it stops someone from doing their work, and you're cutting off revenue to a journalist, and which is, by the way, I of course I'm not comparing to the plight of Julian Assange, but someone brought this up, and it's an excellent reminder. If you do think back to a decade ago, one of the first avenues that was one of the first repercussions and actions that they took against WikiLeaks and Julian Assange, they cut off their PayPal and their credit cards, right? They tried to cut off their funding. So I mean, I think this is more to do with the sanctions than anything else, which are completely inhumane and brutal, and just as the persecution of Assange is, but nonetheless, it is something that they do, right? It's not unprecedented. And you see Whitney Webb, for example, her Patreon has just been shut down, right? So these are not accidents, I think, but it's absurd what they're doing. And I don't know what to tell you guys anymore. I really don't know what to say. If you want to support the show, thank you very much. I guess you could maybe keep donating on PayPal, but I don't know what's going on now, if they're going to reverse it if you dare to mention the word Syria. I mean, oh my God. But anyway, if you do it, say it in Arabic, right? Then there's no problem. So I just wanted to show you what's going on, because this is obscene. And by the way, if we're talking about sanctions, what I've just told you, what happened to my PayPal account, this is a fart. This is a joke compared to what the people in Syria are going through. I mean, it's not even comparable. Like, don't even think about it, right? It's not even comparable. It's that shit kills people, literally kills people, right? And I have a broadcast coming out next week on sanctions specifically, and so I'll go more into detail about these sanctions in that episode. But it's still bullshit, right? We can all agree on that. This is obscene. So. Again, if you guys are supporting the show, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And, I guess all we have left is crypto. You had tons of people saying, see, this is why you need crypto. Yeah, well, I already have it, man. I'm on Bitcoin. I'm on I have a Bitcoin wallet, rather, and Ethereum, I think it is. And, if you go on Rockfin, where you're going to find all independent media now for good reason, you have the Ray token on Rockfin, right? So, I mean, what else do you want us to do, man? It's it is bullshit, but we're trying to do our best. So thank you again for all your support. And if you do send me a PayPal, just write Syria in Arabic. Hopefully their systems won't catch it, right? They're bastards, honestly. And I just wanted to tell you about this. So there you go. It hurts, man. It really does, right? I mean, the fact that you can't even say the name of your country. I mean, I don't even know. Like, I'm laughing about it, but it's like it makes you cry, honestly. But again, that's nothing compared to the war. That's nothing compared to the suffering and the sanctions. That's the real harm that's being done here. But still, there's an Orwellian element to this. I think that much is true. So if you'll excuse me, I just need a sip, and I'll get to your super chats. You've been very kind. So just give me 1 second, and I'll get to that. Again, here's the PayPal on the right and the Venmo on the left. I'm not even sure if I should keep those anymore. I mean, Christ, what do we even say to that? What do we even say? Honestly. Right. So I've had something to drink. I can read your generous donations here. So we've got one. Just a second. Can you see me? There we go. So we got one over here from Jared Ball. Says, I appreciate your work. Please also include coverage of political prisoners Mumia Abu Jamal, Sundiata Okoli, Mutulu Shakur, and David Gilbert, etc. That's one thing where I agree with you completely. I haven't covered other political prisoners and journalists quite enough. I guess I mean, not I guess. I'm pretty sure that's something I need to improve on, of course. And I appreciate the recommendation, and you're absolutely right. And it's just I guess I've been very invested in Assange's thing because I actually went to the hearing, and it's all bad though, right? I mean, no matter where this is happening. So definitely, I take that into account 100%. So I will do that. And Gemini Socialist says, I think it's Gemini Socialist. I hope I'm reading that correctly. It says, thanks, Richard, for speaking truth to power. What are your thoughts on religion and spirituality? Well, I think that's a matter between every person and God, right? So that's something personal. I don't think that you should force your religion onto other people. Me, I'm born Christian. I'm baptized Christian. So I come from Christians are a minority in Syria, right? So I don't know what it is now because of the war, but we used to be 10% of the population, right? So I don't know what it is now. But I think it's a personal thing. The Christianity we have in Syria, the original Christianity. After all, that's where it comes from, right? It's very different from what you see in the West, and especially not just nowadays, like these evangelicals, and you have these Christian Zionists as well, and all these right-wing nut jobs. But even 1,000 years ago, you had Crusaders coming in, and you know what they did when they got to Jerusalem? They killed everyone, including other Christians. It's like this shit has been going on for 1,000 years. You just have motherfuckers just coming in and raping and pillaging and killing everyone in the name of religion. And it's just bullshit. It's nothing to do with the original faith, right? I don't think there's you open a Bible, you're not going to find any passage of Jesus telling you to go and kill other people. So I mean, it's just they it's politics, right? They just hide behind it, and they do politics with it. So yeah, my opinion is that it's that should be a personal thing between everyone and God, and that's it. So there you go. I hope that's an adequate answer. Mike, the Russian bot, that's a good one. Says glad they stopped your terrorist activity. Yeah, I mean that's like that's what's fucked up, right? Sorry, I'll finish reading your super chat first because Michael says glad they stopped your terrorist activity with a cheeky smile, and YouTube won't let me use the S word or the T word. I know, I can imagine. And it's obscene, right? Like they treat you like you're a terrorist. I mean, I think that was pretty obvious, even though I didn't say it. But, they're like, oh, you're Syrian? Like, oh, how dare you? Like, how dare you exist? What the fuck? It's so messed up, man. I honestly think that what they were saying in the message when they talk about like what are your fundraising activities, they're suspecting people of actually helping Syrians, right, who are under sanctions more than anything to do with terrorism. And it's either one is fucked up, it's like, either you what are you saying, like Syrians are terrorists, or like what are you saying, Syrians deserve to be under sanctions and you're going to comply with that bullshit? Like it's messed up either way, right? And it would be, I would say the same thing if it were about any other country, because this is obscene. Thanks for the solidarity though. So Matthew says much love to you, Daddy Richard. I love seeing your content on my timelines. Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate that very much. I appreciate your donation, and that's a good one. I'm glad you didn't go for Daddy Dick, but I appreciate that very much. Maui Bill says, let's see if Assyria gets through the censors. Yeah, you could try that. Instead of writing Syrian, you could write Assyrian. Those are not the same thing, though. But let's see how we can circumvent. Don't worry, we're going to get to the main subject in a second. I just want to finish reading all of your super chats. I know, sometimes wait till the end, sometimes not, but I want to read these to you. Mona darling has tipped on Rockfin, which is great because, like I said, it uses crypto. Mona says, yo, Richie, thank you, and thank you for everything you do. Let's get those chunklets going, though. You the motherfucking GOAT and MVP. Love you. I love you too, Mona. We're going to have some new merch coming up very soon, so you'll see what that is. And if you haven't gotten your death cult yet, your death cult merch on, I highly suggest you do, right? So you guys already know where to go, store.RichardMedhurst.com, and you can find those Uncle Joe's Rainbow Coalition Death Cult t-shirts, right? So those are very good. Hold on, let me pull this up for you over here. I think you can see it. Here we go. No, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong window. Hold on. Here we go. You can see the merch that we have going on here. So yeah, get these while you still can before they do something shady to me. Before I wind up under a bridge or something. No, but seriously, go ahead and get these, man. They're dope. I got the long sleeve tee. Okay, so I don't know what you guys prefer. There's hoodies. Someone ordered a mug. I got this one. This is the classic long sleeve. This is the one I got. Because you guys actually bought out all the hoodies. I wanted to get a hoodie, and this was the next best thing. So, I mean, that's great. And there you go. I got this one. I think it's cool. So, yeah, there's a mug also someone got, but we got some extra stuff coming soon. So there you go. Thank you, Mona, for the shout out. And by the way, Mona is actually the one who helped me design these, right? So credit goes to her. Shout out to her. Again, store.RichardMedhurst.com if you want to cop one. And we got another one over here from Mona that says, love to Syria? How dare you Assad apologist? Oh shit, man. I'm happy PayPal didn't accuse me of that, right? Who knows? They were one step away from doing it. They were one step away, right? If you don't swallow the BBC bullshit immediately, that means you're an Assad toady, as Barry Weiss says. Javi says, hey, Richard, what's your opinion on Ilhan Omar's response to Biden's illegal strikes on your country? She's my representative. I'm not helping her to win. I'm not helping to win her re-election. She just tweets and votes for war criminals. Also, I got a mug. It looks nice. I'm glad you like the mug. Now I know who ordered one. So that's really dope. So, I mean, what's my opinion? I think I covered it, but I can't remember if I upload that as a separate segment. But I'll give you my thoughts on her response. I think it was milk toast at best, right? I mean, yes, she's saying all the right things, Okay, she's calling it out for the illegality. She's saying we need to repeal the AUMF. I'm going to do a whole segment on that in a second, right? But you know, sorry, excuse me. Actually, she's not saying let's go and repeal the AUMF, which was my gripe with her, because she's saying, yeah, this is bad and it's unconstitutional. Okay, so my critique is, where's the action for it, right? When Donald Trump, for example, was doing undemocratic things, when he was, you know, posing a threat to the democratic institutions of the United States, they were all up in arms, right? Okay, so can I see that same energy with Joe Biden? Is it okay for him to go behind Congress's back? What do you think of that? Apparently there are no consequences, like nothing at all. And I'm going to get into the legality of it in a second. And yeah, so I mean, it's, you know, here's the problem, because she's one of the only ones who actually said something. And it's like, okay, I mean, great. Like, that's your fucking job. I don't understand. You know, like, it's the default to just shut up and say nothing. Apparently it is, because she's one of the only ones who said anything. Everyone else is quiet. I don't know what to say, because again, she says something, but there's no follow-up. There's no consequences. And again, I ask you, like, if there are no consequences to just bombing another fucking country, right? What are their consequences for then? Right? They got mad that Trump incited an insurrection, as Chuck Schumer says. They got mad that Donald Trump incited an insurrection on their capital, right? And you know, they followed up with consequences on that. They impeached him over the Ukraine phone call. I mean, just take the Ukraine phone call, let's say, right? What do you think is worse, the Ukraine phone call or actually bombing another country? I think most rational people know which is worse. And they're both, you know, specifically, bombing another country, I mean, it's not just a violation of you know, U.S. law. It's a violation of international law first and foremost. So I mean, you have ample things to go off of here, and they're doing nothing. So that's my opinion, and I think it's not enough, right? It's not enough. That's my opinion. Again, I'll get back to that in a second. I have a whole segment to do on that because I want to follow up on it. But yeah, I hope that somewhat answers your question. It's not enough. It's nowhere near enough. And there you go. So just give me 1 second over here. By the way, we got 30 people watching on Rockfin. Isn't that beautiful? Thank you to all of you. Again, this is premium, by the way. It's set to premium by default. Sometimes I forget to change it. That means we got at least 30 of you that are signed up to support on Rockfin. And that's great, because it's not just me you're supporting. You're supporting, you know, all the other indie media channels. You're supporting, you know, Convo Couch, Hardlens Media, Jimmy Dore, Vanessa Beeley, Whitney Webb. You know, it's great. So if you haven't made an account on Rockfin, I highly suggest you do. It costs nothing to make one. You know, you can go and make an account for free and sign up for free. And if you want to endorse or subscribe, it's $10 a month, and you get everyone's premium, every single channel on Rockfin. So it's like Netflix for politics. I think it's a great deal and a great way to support indie media, especially in this climate. So yeah, okay, let me just get on with this one, okay? Oh boy. Right. So they let go of the $15 minimum wage, right? Wow, who could have seen that coming? They got the relief bill passed, okay? So this, let me show you the results of the votes, okay? I have these up on the screen for you. Okay. Wonderful. So you can see here the results from the Senate. Okay. Oh, my bad. This is the wrong tab. God damn it. Okay. One second. Let me start that again. Let me start that again, since it doesn't want to switch. Hold on. Wonderful. I think you should be able to see it now. Yeah. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to start that again if you'll allow me. They dropped the $15 minimum wage. Right? Again, I'm sure you're not surprised. We all saw this coming. They got the relief bill passed, okay? This 1.9 trillion relief package, which is supposedly, you know, supposed to make you jump for joy, you know, throwing a few crumbs to the peasants. And of course, they dropped the $15 minimum wage. So let me just show you the votes here, right? They got 50 yays, right, in the Senate, and 49 against. Okay, so 50 to 49. And I want to show you here as well, in the House, look at that. You got no Republicans voting for it. None, right? In both cases, no Republicans. But look at the Democrats, okay? So you got 219 voting yes, 2 against, okay? And you got 210 Republicans voting against. So look at the difference there. That's seven votes difference. Okay, 7 votes. Keep that number in mind because I'm about to tell you why that's important. So this relief package that was meant to save you, I mean, they screwed you. Let's be clear here. You know, originally the $2,000 checks, which is a scandal in of itself, it turned into $1,400. Right? $2,000, $1,400. I mean, this alone is a scandal of the highest, the highest proportion. So if you look over here, they also reduced eligibility. Okay, in case you weren't paying attention, they reduced the threshold for when the checks phase out. Okay, so over here they say that in the House version of the bill, the direct payments phase out completely for individuals earning $100,000 or more in adjusted gross income per year, $120,000 for single parents, and $200,000 for couples who would get double the amount, $2,800. The Senate is reportedly changing the limits so that no individual earning over $80K and no couple earning over $160K will receive one. What is the result? An estimated 12 million fewer adults and 4.6 million fewer children would be eligible for the third stimulus payment, and an estimated $12 billion shaved off of the $1.9 trillion relief bill. Okay, so there you go. Those are the two first scandals. They lied to you about the check. It's not 2,000 anymore. It's 1,400. They've lowered the eligibility. Okay, they've screwed over 12 million American adults and 4.6 children, and then on top of it, they've removed the $15 minimum wage. Okay, so you remember at the beginning they were saying, "Oh yeah, we can totally get this passed. You know, we're gonna try our best, and we're gonna try and do this through but we're gonna try and do the whole bill through budget reconciliation." And I told you, I warned you, they're lying about the $15 minimum wage. I told you they're gonna come up with an excuse not to do it, and here we are, right? So you can argue that that's Biden's fault. It is, right? It is his fault. You know, he says he doesn't want to overrule the Senate parliamentarian, which technically Kamala Harris would do since she's the presiding officer in the Senate, right? She can overrule the Senate parliamentarian's opinion that the $15 minimum wage is not allowed through budget reconciliation. Okay? But they didn't want to, even though the Senate parliamentarian's opinion means nothing. It's not legally binding. It's just advisory. But then what do you say about the people in Congress? Okay, what about the squad, right? What about the progressives? What about the progressives, man? They got elected, they took your money, they scammed you and got into power, and they promised you that they would deliver Medicare for all, that they would deliver $15 minimum wage, Green New Deal. Not one of those things has been passed or achieved, not one. And they could have done it. So you remember that number that I was telling you about just now? The number 7, right? Look at that difference over here. 7 votes. 7 votes. Can you find me 7 progressives or so-called progressives, supposed progressives in Congress? Yes, you can. Sure. Of course you can. The squad, just the squad alone, you got 4 right there. All right, you had Pramila Jayapal. She's the head of the Democratic Party's Progressive Caucus, right? You can add Ro Khanna, right? I don't know, Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman. Are we gonna add what's his name again? Richie Torres in there, the little Zionist. I mean, you can find 7 votes, right? You can find 7 people who can come in and say, hold up, I'm not voting for this shit because there's no $15 minimum wage. You either put the $15 minimum wage back in this bitch or it's not going through. Do you understand that? Do you understand, Mr. Biden? And now you might be thinking, well, why would they do that? They can't do that. Oh, really? How come Joe Manchin just did that? You're telling me Joe Manchin, who's one senator, from West Virginia was able to twist Biden's arm and force him to remove the $15 minimum wage, but 7 progressives in the House can't do that? What does that mean? The whole strategy behind electing these people was that they form a bloc, right? The whole strategy is that, we have to increase their numbers so that they can do shit like this. This is how you play politics. Why aren't they doing it? They know goddamn well that they're supposed to do this because they fucking said they would. Do you remember this? You remember this from AOC? You remember in December, just 3 months ago, when people were saying you need to force the vote for Medicare for all, you need to threaten Nancy Pelosi with her speakership, right? Because again, that was razor thin. You remember I covered that was razor thin, how she got reelected as Speaker of the House. You need to grab her by the balls and you need to threaten her speakership. You tell her she forces a vote on Medicare for all or you're not voting for her as Speaker. They didn't do it. They all voted for her. They all fell in line like ducks and they voted for Pelosi. And they said at the time, look what they said. This is AOC. Look what she says. She says she doesn't agree with the strategy, right? There's not enough thought given to it. You don't understand, right? She says here, in contrast, you can use leverage to push for things that can happen and change lives. For example, a $15 minimum wage. A $15 minimum wage vote in the first 100 days. Doable. Elevating longtime progressive champions to important positions of leadership. Also doable. So she's told you, she said this, look, December 12th, 2020, she's telling you, no, we can't play politics. We can't play hardball with Pelosi on Medicare for all because we need to wait until we're in a better position so we can give you maybe something else like the $15 minimum wage, which is doable in the first 100 days. Well, here we are. It's the first 100 days. They had an opportunity to grab Joe Biden by the balls, to grab the Democratic leadership by the balls, to play hardball with them on the $15 minimum wage. The exact same goddamn thing that they're talking about. Where was it? Why did you vote for this fucking bill that doesn't have the $15 minimum wage in it? That lowered the eligibility for Americans who can receive the check? That lied about the check. You said $2,000. Now it's $1,400. You people are fucking frauds. You're scammers. You are scam artists. You are frauds. You're fucking liars. And goddamn, even a child knows that politicians are liars all over the globe. That's what politicians are. They fucking lie. They lie 24/7, 365 days a year. Every single one of them. Right? Of course, you have mild exceptions. These ain't it. Look at the fucking lie, man. And you know what she just posts, like just as I went live right now? Look what she posts. She's blaming the Republicans. Look at the shit, man. She says, this week in Congress, Democrats passed a $1.9 trillion COVID bill to deliver stimulus checks with dependents, cut child poverty in half, extend the $300 unemployment, prevent cuts in state and local services, the largest ever investment in Native communities, etc. The GOP, the Republicans, took a week to read The Cat in the Hat. Yeah, that's a really interesting way to frame it, right? That's a really interesting way to frame it. To deflect all of the criticism and all of your critique onto Republicans. See, there's no mention there of, we lied about the $2,000 checks. We lowered the eligibility. We removed the $15 minimum wage, which we said we would try to get through. But then we did nothing to overrule the Senate parliamentarian. We did nothing to twist Joe Manchin's arm. We did nothing to stop the bill without the $15 minimum wage in the House, right? No, we did nothing to put in assurances at the very least that the thing would not go to the Senate where it was removed, where they removed the $15 minimum wage and then come back to us and we pass it. Right? Nothing. And you still have people who are making excuses for this shit. They just keep drinking the fucking Kool-Aid. They're like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. They're fighting for us. Yo, man, when are you gonna wake up, man? Wake the fuck up. Come on. Stop playing yourself like that. These people are on Team Pelosi, right? They're on Team Biden. They're riding with Biden, man. These people are careerists. They're not doing shit. They're not playing politics. You're telling me Joe Manchin has more balls and more power than them? Really? You're gonna let Joe Manchin, you're gonna let some lone senator from West Virginia get away with this shit? Really? You're telling me he's more powerful than the president, the Senate parliamentarian, who's an unelected, official in an advisory role, is more powerful than the president? Why the fuck did you elect Biden then? You could have just left Trump then and tried to maybe sway Joe Manchin and the Senate parliamentarian, right? If they have so much power, right? What was the point? Why did you talk about the presidency being such a threat in the wrong hands if it's a powerless office to hold? Oh, they're so full of it. They're so full of it. They're such liars. Unbelievable. And it's not just AOC, right? We're not just gonna talk about her. I mean, by the way, this is an excellent point. All this that I'm telling you right here, when I'm going back to AOC's tweet, Colin pointed this out, right? Habibi, he's the one who mentioned this, right? It's so glaringly obvious. I mean, but he referenced the exact tweet, right? He says, so AOC and the squad, you lied. You didn't push for force to vote in December because you wanted to use your leverage for Fight for 15. And you didn't flex your muscle at all to push for it to be added to American Rescue Plan. I hope essential workers remember this. #fraud squad. Absolutely. 100%, right? And we knew they would do this. We knew they would do this because that's what they do. They lie and they justify, this highway robbery of the working class. They passed the CARES Act. They fucking robbed you. They gave $2.2 trillion to corporations, to Boeing. Then they did the Heroes Act. They gave millions to dark money groups and lobbyists who already earn millions as part of small business money. They screwed you every step of the way, and they give you these crumbs and then pretend they're working for you, right? So here you have Pramila Jayapal saying, "We'll take the win." We'll take the win. What win? So Representative Pramila Jayapal, the leader of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, said Monday that she didn't think the changes pursued by Senate centrists were good policy or good politics, but minimized them as relatively minor in the grand scheme of things. Oh yeah, sure, man. Doubling people's wages, which would still not even be enough because they need to be doubled again to adjust for inflation and worker productivity that has skyrocketed. Meanwhile, they get crumbs. Yeah, that's just a minor. It's just a minor thing, man. Right? It's just a minor issue in the grand scheme of things, right? Wages, delivering on campaign promises. Yeah, it's just minor in the grand scheme of things. That's what they think of you. They think you're cucks. Ultimately, given the makeup of the Senate, the House is always going to be more progressive than the Senate. That is actually our job, to make everything as progressive as possible in the House, and then when it goes to the Senate, to know that there are going to be some changes. We'll take the win. We believe it's our work that made it as progressive as it is. No, there's nothing progressive about it. Where's the $15 minimum wage, you motherfuckers? You could have put Medicare for all in there. You could put everything you wanted. They're not gonna do it, man. Look again. Don't tell me that they can't play hardball here. Don't tell me this nonsense. Look at this shit. Look at that. 7 votes difference. They could have held up this bill if they wanted to. This was a must-pass bill. Do you understand? Do you know how embarrassing this would have been for Joe Biden if this bill had not passed? Extremely embarrassing, which is why he placated, Joe Manchin, which is why he essentially let Joe Manchin twist his arm. If you want to believe that story, I don't think that's true because Joe Biden didn't even bother lobbying Joe Manchin. He didn't even call him up. He didn't even try to say, maybe we should keep the $15 minimum wage. Why are you being a dick over here? Cut the bullshit. No, it's nothing. He didn't even try lobbying him. He didn't even try. Do you understand that? Because he's fine with it. Not because he's an idiot. No, because they're fine with it. And now these people want to tell you that they're doing their jobs and that this is progressive. Really? No, progressive wouldn't have been to have some nuts because you got elected to grow a spine in the Democratic Party and, stand up to people like Pelosi, to Biden, to the old dogs, right? That's the whole point. Why is AOC a firebrand in the first place? Because she unseated Crowley, who's the number 3. Not because she goes on Twitter and says, oh, the Republicans are reading The Cat in the Hat. No, you weren't elected to give Republicans heat because any old Democrat can do that. Anyone can do that, right? You got elected because you know how to give Democrats heat and you wanted to deliver on some progressive policies. Where is it? And not just her, all of them, right? So they're trying to make this out to be something good, right? Oh, we cut child poverty. Oh yeah, by screwing over a million by taking away their checks. Yeah, that's definitely going to help. We lied about it. It's just, yeah, this is very progressive of us. We were absolutely 100% honest, and this is just, it's unbelievable, right? It's unbelievable how they are mocking you. They're mocking everyone to their faces, and Ro Khanna over here, okay. Look at what he says. Anything below a $15 minimum wage. And he has this picture of Oprah from her interview. Dude, first of all, your memes, they suck. Second of all, why did you vote for the goddamn relief package if it doesn't have the $15 minimum wage in it? I mean, why did you allow this to happen? Why did you allow Joe Biden and oh no, my bad, Joe Manchin, right? He's the big baddie in this story, in this fable. Why did you allow them to get away with this then, right? It's all talk. They're just good for talking. But when it comes down to it, when it's crunch time, they're never going to stand up to Pelosi for her speakership. They're never going to stand up to Joe Biden and, hold up his must-pass bill. No, they're not going to do that. You're dreaming, right? They haven't even said anything about him bombing Syria. Never mind, $15 minimum wage. So, I mean, this is, and look how they're trying to whitewash it and reframe their lying, their robbery, their fucking theft. They screwed you. They stole trillions from you and gave it to corporations. I mean, this CARES Act that they pulled off last year, this highway robbery, is a scandal in of itself. I don't even know how these people are. I don't even know how this government is still in power. I really don't. Right? It's all one big gang. I don't even know how these people are still there. And they're still trying to frame this pack of lies as something good, and also claiming that it's the Republicans who are useless and doing nothing. I mean, this is insane, right? They're all part of the same gang, if we're being honest, right? They're all playing on the same team. It's this, they're playing catch with the ball while the working class is just running in the middle trying to grab it. They're just playing with you. They pretend to be on opposing sides. It's just an act. It's all theater, right? Unbelievable. It's frankly unbelievable. I mean, I feel sorry for Americans. I really do. How their government is just shitting on them. It's quite. I'm speechless. I mean, let's not be. Let's not kid ourselves here. Every government is corrupt. Every single government in the world is corrupt. But this is another level of evil. This is another level of corruption. This is just, it's right there out in the open, and people just they allow it to happen. And then they celebrate these figures as progressives and continue to defend them. This is indefensible. I mean, you're looking at this. Sorry, I closed out the window. There you go. You're looking at this and you're telling me they couldn't have done anything over here. You're telling me they couldn't have done anything for Pelosi's speakership. Really? Really? Again, even if you want to believe this nonsense, you can't see the math here. What about in their discourse, in their rhetoric? They can, at the very least, publicly, embarrass Joe Biden, hold him accountable, scrutinize him. No, they won't even say that. What use are they then? What use are they? Anyone can trash Republicans. Who cares? Wouldn't he just send you to DC to do that? Any Democrat can do that. Unbelievable. And then you know what's going to happen, right? They'll come up, maybe if you're lucky, you'll get some more crumbs. Because, I mean, if you look at the count thus far, not only have, they lied to you about the $2,000 checks, they've still given you less than Trump. I mean, what does that say? If Trump has given you more, this orange clown has given you more. And they've screwed you over already like this. Just imagine what the rest of the presidency is going to be like, right? Can you imagine what's going to come next? If you even get a second bill, a relief bill, they're going to be like, oh, it's too close to the midterms. And, now we can't compromise so much. We can't, we can't give you so much. We have to compromise and, work on bipartisanship, which means absolutely nothing. It's all one big club. It's disgusting. I'm so done with these people, really. So thank you for the tip on Rockfin. Adro Diablo says, light the motherfucking squad up. Totally useless. At least Republicans fuck you to your face. Nothing but manipulation and lies. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the only difference. It's just decorum, right? They're actually implementing the same policies. But the Republicans just do it to your face. Andrea says, Rockvin is great. On a different note, it's been 12 years since the federal minimum wage was increased, right? To $7.25. Even back then, it was crumbs. People need to speak up and demand more from their representatives and senators. Tell them pass $15 minimum wage now in 2021, or they don't get your vote in 2022. Yeah, I absolutely agree with I absolutely agree with you. And as a matter of fact, I mean, even $15 is not enough, man. It should be at least 22, 25. I don't know. It's definitely not 15, right? $15 minimum wage, the fight for 15, this started back in 2012. We're in 2021, right? I mean, if you adjust it for inflation, it's just not there, right? You can't live on $7 and you can't live on $15, never mind $7.25. It's obscene what they're doing. It's scandalous. It's scandalous. It's outrageous. If they're not able and not willing to hold their own party accountable, I mean, this is useless, right? This is a complete contradiction of what they started out doing originally. Unacceptable. So thank you, Brian. Thank you, MHC, for the tips on Rockfin. I really appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. I want to read all your super chats before I get to the next segment. Over here, we got a super chat from Gregory. Gregory says, EU sanctions are due for renewal in May, June, and just one EU member state refusing renewal will collapse all EU sanctions. Problem is finding one member state willing to raise middle finger to the United States and NATO. Yes, that's true. It's hard finding someone who's willing to stand up to NATO and the imperialist agenda. Most of the time, the EU, they're right there along with the United States in not just the sanctions on Syria, but Iran and elsewhere. I mean, there are certain exceptions, but most of the time it's the same crap, right? They're on the same page, and it's. I think we both know they're going to renew them. Unfortunately, it's very unfortunate. It's heartbreaking. I was talking earlier today. Again, I don't want to spoil the broadcast, which is coming out on Monday. But I was doing an interview with someone who's in Damascus, and it's just it's heartbreaking what's happening here. And you have to keep in mind this is on top of the war, so it's like it's really upsetting. JD Rebel Love says, glad you're back, Richard. I'm tired of these neoliberal criminals. I saw morons praising Biden for his lack of actions. God, it's nauseating. It's nauseating, really. And I thank you for the super chat, but I agree with your sentiment, and I share your sentiment. And you have all these people who are praising, Biden for having done something. Done what? I mean, if you can see it that way, good for you that you are so privileged that you're not actually on the, you're not suffering and not on the receiving end of all this bullshit. But it's not the reality for lots of people, right? There are people who are, depending on that check. If you look into the fact that, debt collectors can also take the check. There's no protections against that. There's so many things wrong with this. Not to mention the fact that you have these, the fraud squad, the boutique left masquerading as progressives, as saviors. They're not doing anything. They're falling in line like ducks. So you have the broader point is you have no one who's fighting for you in DC, unfortunately. No one, right? That's that much is clear. I told you the same thing last year, and what changed? Nothing is going to change, right? That's really where we're at. A Tester, thank you for the sticker. Says critical hits. That's cool. I haven't seen that one before. I appreciate it very much. John McKenna says, I agree with you and support your channel. Thank you, John. I appreciate that very much. Kate says, we know this bill expires in September. When are the squad going to start arguing over what they demand be in it? It is an act. Yes, absolutely. And, there are several things expiring in September as well, right? You have this moratorium on student loan debts and on evictions. Well, I think evictions, it goes to March 30th, but, I was just talking to Glory, right? And you heard her. They're not even respecting these things, right? So you have a lot of, for example, a lot of people who are abusing it, landlords saying, because, you know, even when there was a provision saying you can't kick someone out because they couldn't pay the rent during this crisis, the landlords are coming up with other excuses to evict their tenants, which they don't like. And, you know, just using another excuse when it's actually just because they couldn't pay. And that's through no fault of their own. So you have so many things that are wrong, that are missing, and they're trying to frame this as something good. And, you know, we could be here all day just unpacking this thing. Honestly, I had it up to here with the omnibus bill in December, unpacking that shit. And it's the same old crap, right? You think back to December, they voted for the $600 check. They thought $600 was enough. Donald Trump, this clown, this rancid, vile creature, came back and said, "Oh no, I think it should be 2,000." I mean, if this motherfucker is saying 2,000, how the hell did you vote for 600? And you come on Twitter and you talk about, oh, we need to support our essential workers, right? We need to support working families. Why did you vote for this shit then? Why aren't you doing your job of stopping bills, of calling out leadership, of fighting for more, like actually doing, you know, something that other Democrats, other senior Democrats, career Democrats won't do, and you were sent to remedy? Why aren't you doing that? Because they're all in on it, right? They've chosen their careers. I don't know what it is. I don't care if they're good people or bad people. That's not the point here. The point is they have a job. They're not doing their jobs. What can I say? And, you know, people's lives are depending on the shit. So it's not a joke, right? Kate says, I meant in the next bill. Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is even if there is a next bill. I don't know if there will be. And as I just said a few minutes ago, they will try and find excuses like, oh, we have to compromise with the Republicans, right? First is bipartisanship, then the next one's like, oh, we have to watch out for the midterms, you know. Oh, you're going to get screwed in the midterms. That's coming either way, right? That's coming either way, because you have so far not just lied, but managed to actually do worse and give less money than Trump. I mean, what the hell, man? How the bar is already so low. How can you not? Because they don't want to, they don't have to. And it's not just with this bill. I've told you this with everything else. Just look at foreign policy. They are taking everything Trump did and running with it. They're not trying to undo it or, you know, actually implement some kind of substantive change. No. Why should they? Why should they when they can get away with the shit? You see my point? So you're seeing that all across the board on the home front and also internationally. It's scandalous. It's absolutely scandalous. So over here we have a donation over here from someone on PayPal. This is from Brian, and I love you, Brian. Brian just put a bunch of Syrian emoji flags. I love it. I love it, man. I hate that we have to circumvent the censorship like that you can't even say Syria, but I appreciate it. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. Taslim li habibi. Thank you so much. You guys are great. You're really great. So thank you for that. All right. You'll just excuse me a second. I need a sip of water before I get to the next segment. And speaking of which, if you would like to support the show, again, I don't even, you know, I want to plug the show. I don't even know if I should plug the PayPal or not, because, you know, if you mention the word Syria, you know, they locked my account last week. They limited my account. So I don't know what's up with that. But there's we got a Venmo over here. Again, they're owned by PayPal, so watch out. Better you send a bunch of Syria flag emojis. We got a CashApp, and we got a PayPal. You can scan those with a QR code and submit a donation if you'd like. And thank you so much for supporting independent media. Thank you so much for allowing me to do what I do. And other than that, we also have the Patreon. Okay, so again, I'm looking forward to hitting that goal on Patreon, because we're gonna make a pinata of Dick Cheney. So that's gonna be fun. Actually, we should do a poll, but nonetheless, we'll have a pinata coming, right? So the Patreon over here, you can subscribe for $2 a month, $5 a month, $7 a month, anything you like. Actually, you can put in whatever figure you like, and I really appreciate your support for independent media. And if someone does sign up, I'll gladly play a crab dance for you. So thank you so much for that. And another way to support the channel is also by signing up on Rockfin. And again, this is a great deal. It's free. Go make a free account. And if you want to support, which is $10 a month, you're not just supporting me, you're supporting all of independent media. You can see just some of the channels, just some of them up on the screen. There are way more that are not listed here, which are also in need of our support because they've been booted off of other platforms and whatnot. So we need to have another platform, another avenue besides YouTube. And yeah, so again, I don't like plugging the show. I like to focus more on the politics because that's what we're here for. But nonetheless, it is important because we can't do it without your support. And last but not least, I would just say that we are almost at our goal on Rockfin. So that is really good. And thank you for all of your support. Look how close we are. We're right on the cusp, right on the verge of hitting our GoFundMe goal. So let's go and hit that goal. No, I did not mean to zoom on my face. I'm trying to zoom over here on the bar. There we go. We're almost there. We're almost there, guys. Let's do it. Let's get it. And I'll gladly play a crab dance for you. And there you go. So if you'll just allow me a moment, I just need to hit the loo. I need to hit the can, and we'll be right back. And I've got another segment for you. This is a very important one. I don't think many people have actually covered this. So we'll get right to it. I'll be right back. me? I think you should be able to hear me. We're back. Sorry for the delay. Let's get to our next segment. So we got a couple of donations and whatnot. So thank you very much for that. I'll get to them as soon as we're done. And yeah, let's get to it. This is an interesting one. So, okay. There we go. Okay. So, as you all know, on February 25th, 2021, Joe Biden, the so-called lesser of two evils, he bombed the country where I was born. He bombed Syria. And I want to talk about the legality, or rather illegality, of this strike. So it's a very interesting one because, you know, in the grand scheme of things, when we talk about the war on terror, right, the so-called war on terror, a lot of the things, you know, these drone strikes carried out by Obama. Actually, I'll get to the examples in a second, but a lot of the war on terror has been carried out based off of the AUMF of 2001. The AUMF, this is the authorization for the use of military force. Okay, so I need to explain the way this works because it's a bit complicated, right? So as you all know, in the U.S. Constitution, it says clearly the president is the commander in chief. Okay, he can. He's in charge of the United States Armed Forces, and he can deploy them in service of the United States. Very broad definition, you know, interpret it how you may. However, the power to declare war resides with Congress. Okay? And so, you know, after the Vietnam War, okay, when it turned out that Nixon was bombing Cambodia secretly, Congress, they came up with the War Powers Act, right? So the War Powers Act was meant to you know, reel in the executive, to limit the executive's reach, and basically it set out a bunch of conditions, right? You can't just randomly deploy U.S. troops anywhere you like or engage them in hostilities without informing Congress, right? So let me just show you very briefly the War Powers Act over here. This is from 1973. Okay, so I think you can see it there. Okay, so you know there are conditions here. So before engaging the United States in hostilities, he has to consult with Congress. The president must consult with Congress, okay? And, you know, if, for example, there's some kind of imminent threat or something where, you know, he wasn't able to, he has to go and notify Congress within 48 hours, okay? So if, you know, there was some risk posed to the United States and the president has to engage the U.S. Armed Forces in hostility, he must tell Congress within 48 hours. And he's not allowed to commit U.S. troops for more than 60 days. And, you know, Congress has to reauthorize the deployment. Okay, so this can't go on forever, essentially. Now, essentially, what happened, you know, after 9/11, sorry, just to finish, that's when the president takes, you know, action on his own. Other exceptions where he can engage the United States in conflict is if he's given, you know, prior authorization by Congress, okay? And that's listed over here. So just give me a second, pull it up for you again. There you go. So he can either do this if he's given authorization by Congress or Congress has declared war on another country, okay? Those are the only other two conditions where it's fine, okay? Now, when we had 9/11, a few days later, Congress signed the AUMF of 2001. Okay, so the authorization for use of military force 2001. And what does that say? What does it say in the AUMF of 2001? It says that the president, here, I'm going to pull it up for you. Okay, it authorizes him to essentially go after the president is authorized to use all necessary and appropriate force against those nations, organizations, or persons he determines planned, authorized, committed, or aided the terrorist attacks that occurred on September 11th, 2001, or harbored such organizations or persons in order to prevent any future acts of international terrorism against the United States by such nations, organizations, or persons. It's a blank check, essentially, right? This was a blank check. This AUMF of 2001, this has been used by Bush for all his crimes all over the world. Obama used it to justify his drone strikes in Pakistan, in Yemen, in Libya, you name it, right? Oh, we're fighting terrorism, right? It's ambiguous language. I mean, it doesn't even specify Al-Qaeda. It doesn't even say that. It just says anyone who is remotely connected to or harbored. You don't even have to prove it. Just look at the people who ended up in Guantanamo Bay, right? One of the people, when I was covering the Assange case, one of the people who's supposed to testify and all of a sudden his video link magically doesn't work is a CIA torture victim, and he's completely innocent. And nothing to do with Al-Qaeda, right? The CIA still tortured him. They kept him even after they knew he was the wrong guy. And you have other people who are still in Guantanamo Bay, even though they have no connection to Al-Qaeda, right? So it's a blank check to do whatever the president wants. And, the one in 2002, I'll pull that up over here. This one was when they just before they invaded Iraq in March of 2003, right? This one, Trump used this one to justify, or try and justify at least, his assassination of General Qasem Soleimani, right? So I pulled that up over here, right? So this is an article from February 14th last year, 2020. The White House cites 2002 Iraq war measure to justify killing Soleimani. And I mean, even that is a stretch of epic proportions. I mean, Soleimani, Pompeo was asked a million times, what is this imminent threat that he posed? Like, can you tell us if there was an attack that was planned? And he's like, oh, I don't have a day or a number. I can't give you it, because there was none. There was none. The guy is an Iranian general, and he was on his way with Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis, who's a senior PMU commander, to meet for an official meeting, a diplomatic meeting with the Iraqi government, right, with the prime minister. And they assassinated him on Iraqi soil, and then they're like, oh, we're just going to use the AUMF to justify that because it happened in Iraq. It's completely illegal, has nothing to do with the Iraq war, which itself was also illegal, nonetheless. And so, circling back to what Biden did, I'm going to read you the letter that he wrote, because as I just pointed out, if you take action as the president, you're the president, you take military action, you have to notify Congress. That's what Biden did under the War Powers Act. He complied with that rule. And let me read you what he said in his letter to the Speaker of the House, okay? So this is dated February... I'm sorry, I think this is... I'm sorry, this is the wrong goddamn one. This is from February 11th. I want the one from February 2017. You'll excuse me. I had this pulled up for you yesterday, so... give me 1 second to pull that up. That's the wrong... He's referring to emergency at the border. So, here we go. I got my White House letters mixed up. So he says over here that the... There we go. Sorry for the delay. So this is dated February 27th, as I mentioned, right? And he says here, in my direction on February 25th, United States forces conducted a targeted military strike against infrastructure in eastern Syria used by Iran-supported non-state militia groups. Those non-state militia groups were involved in recent attacks against United States and coalition personnel in Iraq. Okay, so again, I told you about this attack in Erbil with the contractor, and then of course about the green zone, about the embassy on a week later. So he says, in response, I directed this military action to protect and defend our personnel and our partners against these attacks and future such attacks. Okay, and he talks about self-defense here, essentially, right? I directed this military action consistent with my responsibility to protect the United States citizens both at home and abroad, and in furtherance of United States national security and foreign policy interests, pursuant to my constitutional authority to conduct U.S. foreign relations and as commander-in-chief and chief executive. Okay, and then I'll get to the UN law in a second. Okay, but as you can see here, he cites the War Powers Resolution and that he's fulfilling his supposed obligation to inform Congress. Now, I just want to say one thing here, okay? You'll notice that he's not citing the AUMF, okay? That's very interesting. He's not citing the AUMF. I don't know if that's because this took place inside of Syria, right? Again, even Trump assassinating Soleimani, an Iranian general inside of Iraq, is ridiculous to cite the AUMF. But he's not citing it here for all intents and purposes. He's talking about, I was doing something to defend the United States, right? Again, they call them defensive airstrikes, which is absurd. Syria is not a war with the United States, at least not officially, but the United States is definitely a war with Syria, right? Syria has not done anything to the United States. Syria is not a threat to the United States. This is absurd to claim self-defense. You are illegally in Iraq. So again, I'll get to the UN charter in a second, but he's going with the war powers here, essentially, right? He's citing the Constitution and he's going by the war powers. He's not going with the AUMF as Trump did, as Obama did, to justify his drone strikes in Pakistan, for example, right? And all these other, you name it. Like this is the thing about the war on terror. This is the thing with the AUMF of 2001. They've been using it as a blank check to go wild, okay? But do you think Congress is going to hold him accountable for any of this? Of course not, right? It doesn't matter that what he's saying here is complete horse shit. They know. You think they're stupid? They know that this is not defensive. This was offensive. I mean, even if you go with his logic that they're attacking Iranian-backed militias over something that happened in Iraq, which they illegally invaded inside of Syria. I mean, you're aggressing 3 countries here all at once. You're committing an act of aggression, rather, against 3 countries here all at once by your own logic, right? By your own admission. So, I mean, this is obscene to say that it was in the name of defending the United States. This is nonsense. And nonetheless, they're not going to hold him accountable. I mean, just think about Trump. Trump assassinated another general. And to say he's just a general is kind of an understatement because, I mean, even Trump's own administration, they admitted that this guy's like, the second most powerful person in Iran. Okay, I mean, that's perhaps an exaggeration, but, Soleimani had tremendous reach across the Middle East, okay? I mean, it doesn't matter how you rank him, like, oh, he's second or third most important in Iran. He's one of the most important people in Iran, period. And in the Middle East, period. Okay, this guy kicked ISIS fucking ass. Okay, he's the reason that Christians like me in Syria, right, have not been slaughtered by Daesh, by ISIS. He's the reason that Daesh has disappeared virtually from Syria. They used to have half of our territory. Now they're gone. That's not thanks to the U.S.-led coalition. No, that's thanks to people like Soleimani, whether you like him or not. Okay, that's his work. That's the work of the Popular Mobilization Forces, the work of the Syrian army, the Russians, Hezbollah. That's thanks to them, whether you like it or not. And I don't care if you like it or not. That's the truth. Nonetheless, they know how important this guy is. They know they could have ignited a war with Iran. And Iran would have been completely justified to respond to that. And they still didn't do anything. What did they impeach Trump over? A phone call to Ukraine and then inciting an insurrection. What about inciting a goddamn war in the Middle East? What about that? No, they don't give a shit. They don't give a crap. Do you remember AOC at the time? She called him a mad king, right? Over what he did in Syria when he bombed Syria, and he also cited the AUMF, right? Do you remember Kamala Harris questioned the legal rationale? They didn't do anything over that either. So Trump bombed Syria. Trump assassinated Soleimani. He tried numerous times to ignite a war with Iran, right? And Iran has been extremely patient. I mean, like, I don't even know how they do it. And they didn't do anything to Trump. You think they're going to do something to Biden? They're not even talking about this. They're not even mentioning the fact that he bombed Syria. They don't even care. It's like it didn't happen. Amazing, right? Now, what's interesting is you've had Senators Kaine and Young. They've proposed legislation to repeal the AUMF. Okay, and I posted about this on Twitter because I thought this was interesting, and I'd like to correct myself over here because, I mean, while it appears to be something good, I'll tell you why it's not in a second. And if you've been paying attention, you might realize why. So Kaine and Young, this is from Tim Kaine's own website. Kaine and Young introduced a bill to repeal the 1991 and 2002 AUMFs. And yes, I was also, I mean, I was surprised, but also not surprised that the 1991, from the first Gulf War, AUMF is still a thing. Yes, why would they repeal that? Of course it is. So, they they reintroduced their bipartisan legislation to repeal the 1991 and 2002 authorizations for use of military force against Iraq. The bill would formally end the authorizations for the Gulf and Iraq wars 30 and 19 years, respectively, after these AUMFs were first passed, reasserting Congress's vital role in not only declaring wars, but in ending them. The repeal of these authorizations also recognizes the strong partnership the United States now has with a sovereign, democratic Iraq. Yeah, remember Iraqis, the Iraqi parliament. Again, this is so ironic, right? They talk about a sovereign, democratic Iraq, and then when the sovereign, democratic Iraq votes to expel all foreign troops, they don't listen. Remember after Trump assassinated Soleimani, the Iraqi parliament voted to expel all foreign troops? They're not going anywhere. They don't care. So, like, you can't win with them, right? You can't win. So they say over here, last week's airstrikes in Syria show that the executive branch, regardless of party, will continue to stretch its powers, Kane said. Okay, Congress has a responsibility to not only vote to authorize new military action, but to repeal old authorizations that are no longer necessary. All right. So let me tell you now why I caught myself actually. And I was like, hold on a second. They're really clever, these motherfuckers, aren't they? What years did they mention here? 1991 and 2002. Now, sure, you might say that's a good thing. I mean, they should have never invaded Iraq to begin with. Those AUMFs did not make it legal. Where's the 2001 AUMF? Oh, yeah. You thought we wouldn't notice, huh? You motherfuckers. So basically, they want to get rid of the ones that, allegedly justify their invasion of Iraq under U.S. law, but not the one that allows them to wage their war on terror and just, bomb Libya, bomb Somalia, bomb Sudan, bomb Syria, bomb whoever they want under this guise of, we're fighting terrorists, right? It doesn't even say terrorists in the OMF. I read it to you. It just says anyone who harbored or, it doesn't even matter if it's true. It doesn't have to be true. It's just fucking lies. You just say, the guy speaks Arabic. Just bomb him. They left that out. How convenient, right? How convenient. And nonetheless, I pointed this out on Twitter, and you'll excuse me just a second so I can pull this up because I think this was a few days ago, after they released this legislation, Senators Kane and Young. I pointed out that you had a certain congresswoman, right? Again, she's not the only one, but a certain congresswoman who very correctly criticized the AUMF. And if you'll give me a second to pull this up. Wonderful. Here it is. So I want you to look at this tweet, okay? You see this? There's a certain congresswoman who once pointed out how bad the AUMF is. She said, honestly, we shouldn't have been in there either, and we should end the AUMF now while we're at it. Okay, so this is part of a thread here where she's talking about, she's talking about the Iraq War and then she corrects herself, says Afghanistan War. Again, those are two different AUMFs, as we just pointed out. There's 2001 and 2002. Both of them should be repealed, right? She understands. That's the point here. She knows what the AUMF is. She understands. And I asked her if she's going to support the legislation, okay, that, Tim Kaine and Todd Young have put forward, right? Because you would think that if she understands how bad this is, if she understands what the AUMF is and the illegal wars that it's been used to justify, that she would jump at the opportunity to talk about it and lobby for it, right? I mean, sure, those are senators. She's in the House. And nonetheless, she can still support legislation in the Senate. There's nothing wrong with that. She can publicly lobby for it. She can use her platform, right? She goes to stream on Twitch. She has 500,000 people show up. She has millions of followers. She was second to Trump in influence on Twitter. I mean, why is she being quiet on this? Why is she being quiet on Biden bombing Syria? Why is she only against the AUMF when Trump does it? Why does she call it unconstitutional when Trump does it? But she doesn't make any mention when Biden also, violates the Constitution. Now, sure, you can say that, Pelosi was briefed about it before Biden did it. Yeah, what about the rest of Congress? The legislation, the War Powers Act, doesn't say you have to only brief the Speaker of the House. It says you have to brief Congress, all of Congress. Okay? That's the point. You have the legislative trying to reel in the executive. It's it's the role of Congress to declare war. And I mean, again, I haven't even gotten into the international law part just yet, but do you see the fucking hypocrisy here? Do you see how staggering this is? These motherfuckers that are calling themselves progressives, they're continuing the same old shit from George Bush's days. And you know, you want to go back even further, go right ahead. It's the same old policies, right? For decades and decades and decades. They're not doing anything. They are just chilling. They're saying nothing about the $15 minimum wage. They're letting that be nixed from the bill. They're not saying anything about Biden bombing Syria. It's fucking pure hypocrisy. I mean, look at them. Like, how can you not be outraged about this? How can you not be outraged? You're only outraged when Trump does it? It's still bad when Biden does it, you motherfucker. So going into the other part of Biden's letter to Nancy Pelosi, to Congress, where he says that, you know, his bombing of my country, of Syria, which again, the United States is not threatened by Syria, has no business in Syria. In this letter, he talks about international law, right? He says that, over here, he says that the United States took this action pursuant to the United States' inherent right of self-defense as reflected in Article 51 of the United Nations Charter. So let me pull up Article 51 for you because it's very important that you see it. So over here in Article 51 of the United Nations Charter, okay, we'll get to 2.4 in a second. He says, nothing in the present charter shall impair the inherent right of individual or collective self-defense if an armed attack occurs against a member of the United Nations until the Security Council has taken measures necessary to maintain international peace and security. Okay, so that means, you know, if you're attacked, you have a right to defend yourself, and of course you don't have to wait until the United Nations Security Council actually steps in. But you know, you have a right to defend yourself until they do, right? This is, of course, logically, that's in the case of an imminent threat. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. In if you actually there was an imminent threat, there wasn't. They're lying, just like Trump lied. So that's what it says here, okay? And it says measures taken by members in the exercise of this right of self-defense shall be immediately reported to the Security Council, okay? And shall not in any way affect the authority and responsibility of the Security Council under the present charter to take at any time such action as it deems necessary in order to maintain or restore international peace and security. So this article over here is just saying you have a right to defend yourself, okay? Now, if you look at the French version, it's interesting because some of the language differs when they talk about, you know, aggression and force, and they say armed force, you know, or armed aggression. But I just want to point out one thing over here, because there is some debate between legal scholars about whether this applies only to other member states. If you look at Biden's letter and what they've been saying in the media, look what they say. They don't talk about coming under attack from another state. They say by Iran supported non-state militia groups. They're clearly saying they're non-state militia groups. So I don't know if this article applies in that context. I don't know if you can invoke Article 51 of the United Nations Charter because some militia groups attacked you in a country that you are illegally occupying. Iraqis are the ones who have a right to defend themselves, not you. Okay? And again, that's what they don't want you to know about when they say Iranian-backed militias, they're talking about Iraqis. These are Iraqis. It's a popular resistance. It's a popular coalition of various groups. Most of them are Iraqis. The vast majority are Iraqis, right? And it's not just Shia groups, as they try to tell you, like, they're all Shia groups. They're all Iranian, as if that makes it as if that makes it okay to kill them just because they're Shia or something. Like, look at this twisted logic. They're not just Shia. They're also Sunni. You have, you know, Yazidis. You have Christians. You have various brigades. It's a coalition. They are the ones who are defending themselves from you because you illegally fucking invaded their country in 2003. How the fuck are you defending yourself in their land? You are the occupier. You are the aggressor. You invaded them. How dare you talk about self-defense? And not to mention, they're talking about this in Syria. What the fuck are you doing in Syria, you motherfucker? God, it's unbelievable. And so I go back to Article 2.4 of the United Nations Charter. Okay, so Biden conveniently leaves this out. Look what Article 2 says. Article 2, Section 4. All members shall refrain in their international relations from the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state or in any other manner inconsistent with the purposes of the United Nations. Okay? So You are the one who is violating the United Nations Charter. You have no right to violate the territorial integrity of Syria, of Iraq, of Iran, of any other nation. And now they're coming here trying to justify this under the United Nations Charter. Like they're so scandalous. They're honestly so scandalous. And they have no shame. They have absolutely no shame. They lie about their own laws, about the U.S. Constitution. They violate the War Powers Act. They violate even their own AUMF. They stretch it beyond belief. And then they even dare to try and spin it as self-defense under international law. And again, you must always keep in mind that, because people often forget this, it doesn't matter if the entire Congress knows beforehand that Biden is going to bomb Syria. It doesn't matter if the entire Congress votes for it. Every single person in Congress votes for it. It doesn't make it legal. That doesn't supersede international law. Just because the U.S. Congress voted to invade Iraq does not mean that was legal or justifiable in any way. It was still illegal under international law. It was still a crime of aggression. It doesn't matter what the U.S. Congress votes to do. You know why? Because Iraq is not under fucking U.S. jurisdiction. It's not a state in the United States. It's its own country. So your law does not mean fucking shit in Iraq. Do you understand that? Or in Syria, or in Iran, or any other member state of the United Nations, or on any other goddamn landmass outside of your borders. So I can't believe that I have to spell this out. Apparently I do, because people think that it's astonishing, right? People really buy into this American exceptionalism shit. They think, oh, well, if our Congress voted for it or okays it, then that's okay. No, it's not okay, asshole. Okay, your Congress is not above international law or above the United Nations. And yeah, the United Nations has many goddamn faults. Yeah, we're not going to kid ourselves there. But again, you have to keep this in perspective. And Biden is a goddamn scumbag. He's a warmonger. He helped start the war in Iraq. He helped do that shit, right? He's never met a war that he didn't like, ever. And if I'm not mistaken, ironically, we're talking about the AUMF. I think there's a photograph of Bush signing the goddamn AUMF, and Biden is standing behind him. Biden is standing behind him. And he says, oh, Bush tricked me, right? It's not, oh, I apologize. I'm a piece of shit. I should be nowhere near the Oval Office after what I did in Iraq. Oh, no, George Bush tricked me. Well, if George Bush tricked you, maybe you're not fucking fit to serve in the Oval Office. How about that, right? I can't with these people. And so you have no one covering this, like no one even questioning this. No, it's nothing, right? It's astonishing. And again, I'm by no means a lawyer or a liar, as they say in the South, liar. But I mean, you really don't have to be a rocket scientist or a scholar of international law to understand that they are lying. They're lying through their goddamn teeth, and that's all they've ever been doing. And they've been using this AUMF as a blank check to do whatever they like, and they just piss all over international law. And then they have the stones to try and act like, oh, we're acting in accordance. You see, we notified Congress. You see, we notified the Security Council. Yeah, with what? A pack of lies? Go take your letter and wipe your ass with it. Motherfuckers. They're no different from George Bush, no different from Obama, no different from Trump. It's the same shit. It's the same imperialist crap. I warned you about this. I told you this was coming. And look at them. Look at these cowards. Look at this squad. Look at these progressives. Not a word. The only one who said anything is Ro Khanna and Ilhan Omar, right? And even them, they don't say, oh, let's go and repeal the AUMF. Are they supporting this legislation by Tim Kaine and Young? His first name escapes me. But they're not even supporting that one. And that one doesn't even repeal the AUMF of 2001, which is the justification for the war on terror. And Biden didn't even invoke those. He just straight up, claimed self-defense and claimed that he was defending the United States under the Constitution and the War Powers Act, which is a fucking lie. What are you doing in Syria on the other side of the planet? You have no business there. There was no imminent threat. God, they don't care that he's lying. They just let him get away with it. And so you see, the problem here is well, yes, there are many problems with the laws. You could have made them much stricter, of course, right? But this is the problem when you have laws and no one follows them or applies them and lets the president get away with it unchecked, right? And why do they do this? Because the entirety of Congress, all of Congress, they're imperialist scum. They are warmongers or cowards at best. At best, they're fucking cowards, right? At best. Maybe they're good people, but they're cowards. And again, I don't know why you go and work in the cesspit of Washington, D.C. to be a coward. I don't understand that. I mean, Okay, one of you, two of you, all of you? You're not going to do shit? No, we can't accept this. They are showing you implicitly that they are on board with Joe Biden. They are riding with Biden. They are part of Uncle Joe's Rainbow Coalition death cult, right? Again, it's not an accident that you have a Secretary of Defense now who, yes, he's the first black man to lead the Pentagon. Yeah, he's also the first black man to lead the Pentagon who also happens to be a former board member of Raytheon, who's a weapons manufacturer, right? And yeah, you have the first woman who's leading who's now Director of National Intelligence. Yeah, she's also a co-author of Obama's drone strike program, which again is, I mean, Jesus, do I even need to go into how horrendous that is, how illegal it is, how many people have died because of that? What's the point, right, of having this diversity when there's no diversity on policy, when it's actually just a continuation of George Bush? What, you're just diverse neocons? Hey, even Bush's cabinet had, Colin Powell, had Condoleezza Rice. I'm not interested in that kind of diversity, right? If you're just going to go and murder people of color all over the global south. No, I'm not interested in that. That's not diversity. That's just neocon bullshit. So there you go. So I'm just going to get to your super chats. Thank you so much for all your support. I really appreciate it very much. We got, you'll give me a second just to read these. We got one over here from, hold on, it's still loading. Catherine Lewis, thank you very much. Says, it says the sheep are chilling. Yeah, I agree. I agree. The sheep are definitely chilling. That's a good way to put it. Morgan Burns says, Richie, would you mind describing your political ideology? I think you are more about actions than adhering to titles or signaling I'm this or that. Yes, which is a good thing. But if you had to, how would you describe your ideology? Socialist, I guess, right? Anti-imperialist, socialist and anti-imperialist. There you go. And, something else, which I also think is important. For example, if you look at, you look at Syria, you look at the society there. That's a real melting pot. I mean, just look at the history, man. It's like, the cradle of civilization. You have all the major religions that came out of this region, all, the first alphabets, agriculture. So it's always been a melting pot since the beginning. But even to the present day, it's you have a diversity there. And this is also in part because it's secular. Okay. So yeah, I'm a minority there. Christians are a minority. And, the majority are Muslim, but you still have various religious groups, right? You have various ethnicities. I mean, there's so many, right? Palestinians, Armenians, Bedouins, Assyrians, Palestinians. You have Christians, and you got Christian Orthodox, and you also you even got people still speak Aramaic, by the way. Right? You got Assyrians, you got Syriacs, you got Kurds. Also, you have Yazidis. You name it. So I believe in having that kind of diversity as well. I believe in having this kind of religious and ethnic harmony, because I've seen it. It exists. It works. And I mean, I don't know how far the war has set that back. I hope not too much, because they've tried to fuel the sectarian bullshit, right? Which is what they did in Iraq, right? I mean, yeah, you had issues, definitely, but not on this kind of scale. Not on this kind of scale after what they did in 2003. That was another level. You didn't have that before, right? And so they tried to do the same thing in Syria and destroy this religious and ethnic harmony. And so I think secularism is a really important part of it as well, right? So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I hope that's informative enough. And yeah, so thank you for that. And let me just check over here, because we also got some tips on Rockfin. Thank you so much for your support on Rockfin. Reeve Barker, thank you for your tip. I appreciate it very much. Kara says, There's a heart and it's too serious. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Ross says, you're right. If the squad's continuous failures are a joke, it's not particularly funny. No, it's not, honestly. I mean, we got to laugh, otherwise we're going to cry, right? You feel me? There's no choice here. Brian, MHC, thank you both for your tips. I appreciate it very much. You guys are awesome. And over here, I think on YouTube, we also got a sticker over here from, I can't read your name, unfortunately. I can't pronounce the characters. You'll excuse me. I'm sorry, but I appreciate the peach sticker very much. It's it's greatly appreciated. So Jorge says, I'm sorry, Richard, but you are Mexican like me. Thank you. I wish I could speak Spanish, man. You know, I tried to learn a little bit with the Duolingo app because I speak French, so there are a lot of similarities. I can understand basic things, you know, but you know. No, I'm not Mexican, but people told me I look like you know, Hispanic or something, which is a compliment. I take that as a compliment. Thank you. Gracias. Muy bien, patrón. Muy bien. So thank you for that. So there you go. I think that wraps that's about it. That about wraps it up. And Reeve Barker says AOC is on Instagram talking about Cobra. So for those of you who don't know what Cobra is a scam, right? So this is, if I recall correctly, this is essentially a health insurance policy. Again, I don't even know where the fuck these things exist, but it's a health insurance policy that is supposed to cover you if you lose your job or you're unemployed. And it's essentially useless because, you would think that if you're unemployed or you just lost your job, well, you've lost your income. So how the hell are you going to cover these ridiculous goddamn, co-pays and premiums that they are forcing you to dish out? And so, the government is going to step in and cover them, but not even completely, just partially, right? This is something that goes back to last year when they were pushing this through the HEROES Act, I believe. I don't think it was in the CARES Act, the first one. But I think it was in the HEROES Act. They made a big deal about this, right? And it's essentially just giving money to the private sector, right? It's like, yeah, we're going to take care of you. But, that money's going to our friends in the private sector, right? Bitch, give us healthcare. Like, I say us on your behalf. I'm not American. But, the point is not to put it in the pockets and line the pockets of corporations. It's supposed people who just lost their employment and their healthcare is tied to their employment. They just want medicine. They want to see a doctor. They want to take care of their health issues, not line the pockets of some corporation and then still not have enough money to even come up with the full amount to get covered. I mean, it's corrupted, man, to the core, right? And they act like they're doing you a fucking favor. They act like they're doing you a favor. I can't believe this, honestly. What do I say, man? What do I say? What do I say? So, with that said, guys, thanks very much for tuning in. If I may plug the show just one more time before I jet, please definitely donate. Again, I'm not even, I'm pissed off at PayPal, honestly, and Venmo for what they did. But if you can, I think it still should be okay if you don't mention my country's name, which is an atrocity. But please donate if you can on PayPal and on Venmo. Those work, and hopefully we can go undetected. There's also CashApp, and if not, there's also Patreon. So again, I don't think we had anyone go up on Patreon today. It's a shame because I wanted to play Crab Dance for you, but that's okay. Only sign up if you can afford it, of course. And you can donate as much as you'd like per month, $2, $5, anything you like, man. But just keep in mind, we have our little meter over here. All right, we got Biden sniffing the meter. So let's get to the goal before Biden takes it away, right? So we want to get to the goal. We want to hit 400. Let's do it. Let's go. And it would be even more appreciated if you supported on Rockfin, because it's not just me you're supporting. It's $10 a month, but you're supporting all of these channels. Nico, Convo, Jimmy Dore, Graham Elwood, Ron Placone, Hardlands Media, Status Quo, Whitney Webb, you name it, man. Unauthorized Disclosure, everybody's here. Vanessa Beeley, everybody's here. So it's really good for independent media that we kind of decentralize. We don't stay just on YouTube, just on big tech stuff. We go over to an alternative platform. So thank you for that. It's greatly appreciated. And of course, there's also the GoFundMe. So yeah. Thanks very much for that. Thanks very much. I think we got one more super chat over here, which I'm going to read to you if you'll give me a second. This one is from, hold on. from Alien Ogre. Alien Ogre says, we could have sent food and medical supplies to the Syrian people, but we sent bombs instead. Oopsie. Absolutely. Absolutely, unfortunately. You also sent cash to the pockets of Raytheon, by the way, right? You also sent pockets to the cash of Raytheon because even though these sanctions, the Caesar Act sanctions specifically, they say, oh, there's a humanitarian exception, which is what they always do. You go read the sanctions they put out on Yemen or any other country. They always say, we make an exception for humanitarian organizations and relief and things like that. It's bullshit. It's not true. Humanitarian organizations can't do their fucking job because everyone else is afraid to deal with them, even if they are humanitarian organizations. There's an over-compliance going on, right? It's too complicated, and it's the goal. They do that on purpose. It's too complicated for companies, for banks, for traders, for financiers to deal with anyone. And even if they're legally allowed to, even if they can go and engage with a humanitarian organization, they don't want to go through all the paperwork. They don't want to go through all the risk. They don't want to risk being fined or jailed themselves, which is absurd, right? They just don't want to have that hassle. It discourages people from dealing with them. It just makes the jobs for humanitarian organizations harder. And in the case of Yemen, for example, dude, humanitarian organizations, they can't fill the need they can't fulfill the food supply. They can't fulfill the demand for food because the supply of food comes from traders, right? So in Yemen, I think it was 90% of all food is imported. Think about that, right? It's imported. So you have to deal with banks. You have to deal with traders. They don't want to do that if you're under sanctions, right? So humanitarian organizations, they can't fill that void or that gap and compensate, and take the place of traders. And the UN pointed this out, and then, okay, you had Biden who reversed those sanctions, but I mean, it's like, it's just decorum. He says, oh, I'm going to reverse Trump's FTO designation of the Houthis. I'm also going to pull U.S. support for Saudi Arabia, but I'm still going to sell Saudi Arabia weapons as long as they're defensive. And then what does defensive mean? What does that mean? Like, putting up a shield of missiles against Iran? They'll justify anything as being defensive, and then you find Saudi Arabia has like everything they want. They've already gotten everything they want, right? They already bought $115 billion of weapons under Obama. They bought $350 billion worth of weapons under Trump. What the fuck more do they need? Like the only thing missing are nuclear warheads at this point. Like it doesn't matter. It's too late. You already screwed over millions of Yemeni people. You destroyed their country, and now you have a fucking epiphany. Screw you. Like people think that's good. Like you still participated in that war. Your whole administration are guilty of that shit. This doesn't atone for that. But no, it's like, people have a memory span of like 5 minutes or something. It's incredible. It's incredible. So, okay, that was a bit of a tangent, but it's an important one. I'm not going to tolerate war criminals just like, pretending that they're saviors or some shit. No. And then these progressives like, oh yeah, we're holding Biden accountable. Yeah. Okay. Sure, man. Yeah, sure. So, in any case, thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it very much. And, if I missed your donations, I apologize. I'll try and read them next time. Again, thanks so much for supporting independent media and for supporting the show and letting me do what I do. And before I forget, get your merch on store.richardmedhurst.com. Get the Death Cult, Rainbow Coalition ones. Peace out. Have a good evening. Have a good night. And I'll see you guys very soon.